call this special board meeting to order. All members of the board are present except for Dr. Lippman. Mrs. Kazmarek-Bogner, would you please lead us in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And my apologies, I didn't realize that Board Member Biscaglia is not with us tonight either. Please be advised that in the event of a fire emergency and an evacuation should be necessary, an alarm will sound. Please note all marked emergency exits and evacuate well away from the building. At this time, we request that everyone please turn their cell phones and electronic devices to silent. Thank you for your cooperation. Please have a motion to approve the agenda as presented. Thank you, Mrs. Beeger and Ms. Poland. Second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed or abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. All right, at this time, we are on item 3, and Dr. Brown-Hall, I turn it over to you for district acknowledgements and recognition.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. So tonight we continue our school spotlight, highlighting the great work that goes on within our buildings. Tonight, our school spotlight focuses on Maple West Elementary and their video announcement club. At this time, I'd like to welcome up Maple West Principal Extraordinaire, Mr. Jason Smith, to share how technology and creativity have helped open doors for students in and out of the classroom.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Brown-Hall. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for having us here tonight. Being that this is Teacher Appreciation Week, I just want to take a moment to thank all of our teachers throughout our district. We are very blessed to have the professionals that we do working with our kids. And tomorrow is also School Nurses Day, so thank you to all of our school nurses out there. I know we have a wonderful one at Maple West with Michelle Hillebrand. So first, I'd like to thank you for giving us the opportunity to showcase some of the great things that happen in our buildings on a day-to-day basis. I will tell you, a lot of times I walk down the hallway and I'm just in awe with what I see our teachers doing with our students. So we chose today to choose one item of the many things that we're proud of at Maple West. So tonight you will get a behind the scenes look at our video announcement club. This is for our 4th grade students, and they plan, film, and produce video announcements for our school community through this club, which is run by Lindsay Bowler and Elizabeth Marmion, who I have with me here tonight. Our video announcements have come a long way since the beginning. We started with monthly highlight videos, then we went to weekly videos, and now we have daily announcements for our school community to see each morning. Through them, we communicate about school events, birthdays, and incorporate social emotional learning and more. This would not be possible without the amazing educators behind me, Lindsay and Elizabeth. They have really taken this idea and run with it. The students love staying after school to participate in this club, and this club has given students another avenue to develop their talents and interests and really come out of their shell. You'll notice there are a couple of students in our video that you'll see in a little bit that are really quiet kids, but this program has really helped them to gain confidence, and really they do an amazing job. So I am proud to introduce Lindsay Bowler and Elizabeth Marmion, who will tell you more about their work with our students.
Awesome.
A little shorter, pull us down. Thank you for having us here tonight. As Mr. Smith shared, Elizabeth and I run our video announcement club, which is for our 4th grade students, but it really is like a whole community-based experience for our school. So every morning, we all start the day the same way. We get to just kind of see the morning announcements, see what birthdays are happening, what events are going on throughout the school. Recently, we just had some of our students share about Eid, which was such a great way to really tie in all the different, cultures and experiences that all of our students have and get to know each other throughout each of the grade levels. So that's also a great experience for them. And then we kind of finish it up and start our day with some mindful breathing. So it really just encompasses so many of the different aspects that we try to tie in for our kids throughout the day. But the technology piece is definitely a huge part that the kids really love, and the 4th graders have really taken it in their own hands and kind of showcased all of their amazing talents, and they learn so quickly, which has been really awesome for us because we like to, try some new things and pilot some different things. And they just have that enthusiasm and just jump right in with no fear. So that's been really fun for us, for sure.
Yes, we are so proud of our fourth graders. Every single class has gone through at this point, and now we have 2-week mini sessions with each class, which have been amazing. We've been able to build on what they learned in the first round of video announcements, and their work is shown every single day. I love walking through the hall, hearing the morning announcements, intro music, kids laughing at the joke of the week, talking about who's going to be, oh, it's your birthday, and they're clapping every week. And then all of the wonderful things that we have going on at Maple West, fundraisers. We have a Afghanistan fundraiser going on for evacuees, supplying children with materials. And then another fourth grade student who's actually in the video, she raised money for Children's Hospital, and that was able to be shown and really given a great expose on the video announcements. So we're so proud of our fourth graders and all that they're doing.
So in the video, you'll see some little clips of kind of what they're doing, but they get to kind of research different topics, whether it be jokes, fun facts. We do weather sometimes, sports sometimes. And as Elizabeth shared, now that we're through our second round, we're having students use the We Video program where they're actually doing a lot of the editing of the clips. So when we do the Flipgrid videos, they kind of set up their own screen and can come up with backgrounds and add in pictures. But We Video is like a whole other level for them because they really have to add in the clips, figure out transitions and text and how it all moves and goes through. And they actually did some recording as well in these last couple of weeks. And it's been really fun to kind of see them add on to what they learned from the start of the year. So it's been really fun, and we're excited to see how it grows. And we hope you enjoy kind of seeing little glimpses of what we're doing.
And you'll get to see a couple clips of these videos they've been working on in the video that Nick put together.
Perfect.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good morning, Maple West Tigers. Today is Tuesday, April 26, 2022. My name is Zoe Peter from Mrs. Doxier's fourth grade class.
Video Announcement Club is a chance for our fourth grade students here at Maple West to announce birthdays and different events that are happening at our school, but also a fun way for them to integrate the technology that we like to use here at Maple West. And then also just a way to kind of bring in all the different needs at our school with, social, emotional, health, and wellness by welcoming everybody to school each morning with the video announcement. So it's just a great way to kind of start our day off all together.
For us, with the morning announcements, we wanted to make sure we had something for students by students so that the kids had responsibility, accountability, and really buy into what they were doing.
Good morning, Maple West Tigers. I'm Austin T. from Mrs. Pitcher's fourth grade class. And now for the joke of the week. What do you call a bear with no teeth? A gummy bear. Thanks for watching, Maple West.
What video announcement are you working on right now?
Responsible,
What does that mean to be responsible?
being dependable,
What are you guys putting in your video to show what it means to be responsible and dependable?
not like running in the hallway, throwing away your trash, doing your homework on time, making sure you have everything for the day.
Happy birthday to Violet C. and Mrs. Byers' class, Colleen M. and Mr. Francis's class, and to Mrs. Jenner.
I do like recording, being able to do the announcements, but I also like just being able to put exciting things on the announcements and not just have to have a voice come over the PA and speak.
How cool is it to be able to use the green screen to change the picture that's in your video?
It's really cool. I've always been a big fan of technology, so I get really excited about that kind of stuff.
Hi, welcome back to Fun Facts. My name's Shiana M. from Miss Doxier's fourth grade class.
And my name's Lillian from Mrs. Doxier's fourth grade class.
Did you know you can't hum when you plug your nose?
No, I didn't know that. Thanks for watching. Bye.
Students are so excited to participate in it, but not only that, to see themselves on it. So whether it's a student being recognized for their birthday, for something they've done good in the community, we've had a couple of kids that have done some community service projects, and we've done a piece on morning announcements about those, or even just our weekly Tiger Parade. The fact that children get to see themselves on that is such a huge thing for them, and they get so excited.
Today is Natural Superhero Day. Today we can celebrate fictional superheroes like Batman and Superman.
I think as a school, it brings us together as a community. In the morning, you can hear every class playing the video announcements and kids laughing or cheering. And I think it just, for the fourth graders who are doing it and who are in the club, it gives them such a feeling of accomplishment and pride in the work that they have done.
Thank you very much, Maple West team. Way to go. That's awesome, though. They got a kick out of their jokes.
Yeah. Are there any board acknowledgements? This is Kazmir Bogner.
Yes, I just wanted to acknowledge Dr. Singh, who was recently selected to be the Area 1 representative on NISBA's Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee. So he gets to start that in July and hopefully bring back some ideas and information to share with us once he gets started on that committee. So congratulations, Dr. Singh.
Thank you.
Well deserved. Any other acknowledgements of Dr. Singh?
No, I just wanted to wish our friends in the Muslim community belated Eid Mubarak. It was on 3rd, the big celebration. I just wanted to belatedly wish them. And the other thing is I wanted to congratulate the students of Williamsville East on their induction to the National Technical Honor Society, National French Honor Society, National Spanish Honor Society, which happened in the last couple of weeks. And there was a huge parent turnout, and it was glad to see so many kids inducted into different honor societies.
That is good news. Thank you so much for sharing. Anybody else from the board? Mrs. Speaker.
Yes, it was mentioned before, but I just want to acknowledge our teachers and Teacher Appreciation Week. We are so grateful for our teachers and everything that they are doing, and all these special days, Nurses Day, Principal Day. It's so wonderful to acknowledge these people in their special roles. But I also want to just acknowledge the community that I've seen come out of this week. My kids attend 3 different schools, and at all schools, the PTAs have organized to celebrate the teachers in such beautiful ways. And so to see that community and families being thankful for our educators in our buildings and showing it in that way, I hope everybody's feeling that love, because I know I've been feeling it both as a parent and as a teacher in a different district. So happy Teacher Appreciation Week to our teachers, and also happy Mother's Day this weekend to mothers.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. Mr. Biscaglia.
Well, on top of all that, and it reminded me of something, I actually want to acknowledge Maple West again. Talking about community involvement and everything like that, just this past weekend on April 29th, Maple West had Art Fest, and it was just enjoyable to go to and seeing, on top of the community, the little kids running and playing together again, and just seeing that social emotional learning aspect. It was awesome. It was a lot of fun. I know my kids were there and had a good time, and it's really good to get back to a little bit of normalcy. I know it was broken up by alphabet and things like that, but it was really nice. And to see the artwork that some of our little students can do at their age, I was like, if I was doing it, it would be just scribbles. So so it was very nice.
Thank you very much.
And I also would want to thank the students and teachers who did Peter and Wendy at South High School this last week. It was a very fun show that they did in the round. So it was an experimental approach for them, and they got to use test out some of the new technology and how that enhanced that performance. So they did a great job.
Very nice.
Thank you. All right, we were moving on to our consent agenda. May I please have a motion to approve item 5, personnel, and 6, special needs and student activities as presented? Thank you, Dr. McCleary and Mrs. Beeger. Is there any discussion? All right, seeing none, all in favor, please. Opposed or abstentions? Motion carries 800. Thank you. Moving on to the minutes. Is there a motion, please, to approve the minutes of the regular board meeting held on April 19th, 2022? Thank you, Vice President Van Cise and Board Parliamentarian Ms. Kazmarek-Bogner. Are there any corrections or additions to the minutes? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Thank you. Motion carries with one abstention. All right, we are on item 8, our president's report. So we did hold a board retreat on April 27th. All board members did attend. I want to thank Mrs. Rue and Dr. Tabate for their time and their leadership. And I want to ask if there's anyone from the board that wishes to share something they learned from our retreat. Any takeaways? Nothing like putting everybody on the spot. Mrs. Beeger.
Sure. Sorry. Sure, I will share. I was so impressed with our retreat, with just the ideas that were shared with us, learning that this is what is being shared throughout our district with our administrators. It really helped to open my eyes regarding some different personal bias that we have about all different things, different people. It just opened my mind to the way I think or assumptions that I make. And, you know, not just about gender and race or, you know, your economic background, all of those things, but even just where people are coming from. It was such a valuable time for us as board members, I think, to really think about our staff, our teachers, our kids, our community. And one of the quotes that stuck with me afterwards was that there's so much more that unites us than divides us. And really thinking about, you know, so many of us have differing opinions on different political matters, you know, whatever, what have you. But we all have so much in common, and thinking about that, it was just a really uniting, wonderful experience, and it opened my eyes. And I know sometimes people think, you know, hear DEI and they're concerned and confused. What does that mean? But it really just helped me to think about diversity in a really beautiful way, and how we're all connected and different at the same time, and the positives that go with that. So I'm very appreciative of the time. I'm glad we received that same kind of in-service that our staff is receiving. I think it's a great benefit to our district. I'm grateful to be there. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Beeger. Does anyone else from the board wish to share? I just wanted to mention that what I took away was sometimes when you think about going to an in-service, being a teacher, I'll speak from I would sometimes think, oh, what are they going to ask us to do next? What else is going to be added to my plate? And I don't remember if it was, I think it was Ms. Rue who said it, that it's not adding something else to the plate, but it is the plate. And it's really just a framework for how all curriculum would be delivered. It's not an additional curriculum, but it's a framework of understanding. And that was sort of an aha moment for me that I wanted to share. And I think I saw your hand slide up, Mrs. Van Cise.
Yes, just really quickly, I would just really like to extend my gratitude to both ladies. We as a board requested this opportunity to have this short tidbit of DEI training because it does start at the board level, right? We need to also be able to grow and understand and dive into it. So we felt that we needed to have this training so that we could truly understand what our staff is going to be delivering to the students, which should be already part of the delivery. But the biggest thing, I think it goes back to basics. Knowledge is power. And a lot of times I think there are assumptions out there and false, just inaccurate information about what DEI is. And the one thing our school district time and time discusses is all means all and being inclusive. This will help us to make sure that all means all and every single one of our children is cared for and properly taught by our educators. So I think it was extremely invaluable. Great use of our time.
I'm just going to piggyback on something that President Ludlow-Barrow said, and it's not about something else to do. It's about a way to be, and I think that's a really important place for all of us. It's a reminder of who we are and how we are to others. So.
Right. Thank you for that. And thank you, Dr. Brownhill, for assisting with the planning for that and supporting that.
Absolutely. Great work.
All right. So item B on my president's report is our DEI committee. So there's been some discussion. Typically, we usually approve a liaison for a committee. And even though in the past it's usually like one board member for a committee, there was multiple board members that expressed interest. And I spoke with Dr. Brownhill about it, and he suggested, with this being such an important piece of what we want to emphasize going forward, and it being the plate, as was kind of referenced before, that he saw no reason why multiple board members couldn't participate if they so chose. So I wanted to see if you are in agreement with that. And from my understanding, Dr. Singh, Ms. Poulin, and Dr. McCleary, and Dr. Lippman, so that's 4 board members, have expressed an interest. And I want to just check with each of you to see if that's still your intention or if you have any other feelings you wish to share. I see a few head nods. All right. So with that, may I please have a motion to approve the DEI committee members as presented, and they would be Dr. Singh, Ms. Poulin, Dr. McCleary, and Dr. Lippman. Thank you, Ms. Beeger, and Mrs. Kazmarek-Bogner, second. Any additional discussion? Seeing, Mrs. Kazmarek-Bogner, go ahead.
This is slightly off topic. I just wanted to mention that I too have an interest in the DEI, but seeing that we already have 4 members, I didn't want to add another name to that list. But I would be interested in potentially joining the communications committee if that would be an option. So I just wanted to bring that up.
All right, great. And then when we start learning more about when those meeting dates are, we can work on that piece too. And we are getting towards the end of the year, and we typically do liaison assignments again at the beginning of the year. But with this meeting that's going to, I believe, meet for the first time at the end of this month.
Monday, May 23rd.
Okay, thank you. And that's the day before our board meeting. So I thought it was important that we try and get this included. All right, is there any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Okay, all hands up equals motion carries unanimously. The policy committee meeting for the 4000 series, that meeting will be held on May 20th at 1 p.m. in the district office boardroom. And attending from the board will be Mrs. Kazmarek-Bogner, Dr. McCleary, and Ms. Poulin. And Dr. Brownhill and Mrs. Carey will also be in attendance. Just a piece for information. Also for information, Meet the Candidates Night will be held on May 11th. And our annual district vote will be held on May 17th. So the Meet the Candidates Night will be held in person, and that's from 7 to 9 here in the district office boardroom. If you wish to submit questions ahead of time, there is a Google link that you can access from our district website to do that. And I want to thank Mr. Filipowski because he's been sharing that out regularly. And the Meet the Candidates Night is sponsored by the PTSA Council and will be facilitated by the League of Women Voters. And this event will also be live streamed on our district YouTube station. Our annual district vote will be here in the North High School Gymnasium, right across the parking lot. And that takes place from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. on Tuesday, May 17th. Are there any questions from the board for Mrs. Carey regarding the district vote? Mrs. Carey, is there anything you wish to add? All right, thank you. And I want to thank Mrs. Carey. She's done a phenomenal job as usual, organizing and preparing with all of the absentee ballot requests, as well as all the work that gets done to make sure that we run an efficient and honest election.
Absolutely.
Right. Item 9 is our budget presentation review for the final time. So Dr. Brownhall and Mr. Matursky, I turn it over to you.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, President Leatherborough. So I want to say that the district is so fortunate to have a chief financial officer in our assistant superintendent, Mr. Tom Matursky. He has presented this information consistently all throughout the spring, the fall. So there is so much information that he has shared about the budget, about the air conditioning project. There are probably some community members that can go through it, themselves and let us know what's going on. But I just want to thank Tom publicly for all the work that he's done on it. And once again, we have our assistant superintendent finance, Tom Matursky, to deliver our budget presentation.
Thank you, Dr. Brownhall, members of the board. So at this meeting, annual meeting, it's required by New York State that we present the budget. And to do so, I'm going to start out with our budget development process, which you have seen, as Dr. Brownhall has said, throughout the last few months. The information here is reflective of all the items we've discussed regarding program continuation expenses. So these are the items that we put forth that were required to maintain the current budget we have. Again, for those of you who might be seeing this the first time, the presentation is in two sides of this particular format here. The left side is what I'm going to concentrate on is for the current budget you're voting on for May 17th, the increases there. The other side is a look ahead to the following year. It is just there as a reference point. So as we developed the budget this year, we knew what we could be looking forward to in the next year. So the most of these items are related to salary and benefits. The most highest dollar amount here is our salaries, which is based on contractual increases, $4,607,613. And then about $2 million is reflective of our benefit packages that are required. Most of these are mandated: Social Security, retirement payments to New York State retirement systems, both ERS, employee retirements, and teacher retirements, and then health insurance increases that are being required due to how that whole industry is seeing increases. The last few items are more related to inflation, being BOCES, which is services that the district uses for students as well as for administrative purposes. That's an increase of $375,000. And then we have bus transportation, fuel expenses included in that, and some instructional support areas for supplies, specifically for math, for our areas of athletics and the like. So all of those are required. So that brings us with a expense increase of $7,602,119 for the program continuation expenses, results in a 3.71% increase. I'm going to now move over to a summary page. This page shows just that number I reflected, $7,602,119. And then we see a line there for program support. As we developed this budget, we added 2 assistant principal positions at our middle school level, being at Transit Middle and Mill Middle. Those are positions that the district was considering for several years due to the enrollment increases in those buildings. This was a need at those buildings, so we included it in this particular budget. We also have some reductions which are attributed to salary retirements. So that is showing here at a $255,000 number. And that allows us to have a total program increase for our budget of $7,507,119. And that results in the budget we're proposing, $212,528,086, which is a 3.66% increase. Looking at the revenue side, we usually begin with an understanding of what the tax cap is going to be. I'm not going to go through the entire calculation. but essentially it begins with what our tax levy was for the prior year. You use the state required information, being the growth factor, which is provided to us by New York State, what the tax cap limit is, which is 2% this year. Just a key thing on that one, although we are limited to 2%, the inflation rate that we all experienced was 6.58% last year. Going right down this, I just want to again highlight where we're at for this budget. And we have a proposed levy of $137,200,000. And that results in a levy increase of $3,410,000. That's a 2.55% increase, and that is also $46,892 under the tax cap amount, which means we just require a simple majority vote approval. Looking at our total revenue picture, this also shows our community really some historical information going back to 1920. It shows you where our budget was and how it has progressed. Some progression, some actually regression. If you look at some of those numbers, again, I'm only going to concentrate on this year. And the key number there is really starting with state aid. We have a net increase of $1.9 million, specifically $1,932,551. But the key point in this entire budget is that if you look at the prior year, we had a little over $3 million in federal COVID-related aid that was in this current year budget, 21-22. The increase we received in state aid for next year actually is about $5 million. So although the net increase is 1.9, what we have been able to do is to eliminate that usage of federal dollars in our budget, which eliminates the future funding shortfall that could happen in the future. So that is a very, very positive item. We also saw a couple major revenue areas increase, being our payment in lieu of taxes, which goes up by about $500,000, and nice growth in the sales tax revenue area of $1.6 million. So with that, again, you have a balanced budget. And again, the budget increase is 3.66 and a tax levy increase of 2.55%. How does that relate to our residents' tax bills? When we do the estimate here with a $250,000 home, based upon when you bought that home, if you have a tax credit situation, it would be a tax increase of $77. If you have a basic STAR aid credit, it would be $68.35. And if you have an enhanced STAR program, you're $57.61. So that rate is calculated at $18.14, a 31-cent increase from last year, or a 1.73% increase. Now, it's important for me to emphasize this is based upon the current year or last year's equalization rates and assessed values. We do not receive that information until July. So in order to provide the best information we have available, those rates were used in this calculation. So as far as a summary on the positives of this budget, again, no program cuts. That's always what we strive for as we begin the budget process. There are no future budget shortfalls on the revenue side. That's an extremely important item. And we have growth in a couple of our major revenue categories, being pilots and sales tax. Under the tax cap is a major item, and we are able to add those two important positions at transit and Mill Middle. Future concerns, you always have to look to what is going to happen at the state level regarding New York State aid. And certainly we have to be concerned about whether or not the state will be able to maintain the funding levels for state aid, which we're seeing in next year's budget sometime in the future when their federal revenues may decrease. So just a financial summary here. Again, the budget is $212,528,086. The tax levy increase is 2.55%, and the budget increase itself is 3.66%. And again, no more reliance on COVID-related revenue in this budget. So now just moving forward to some brief information on our elementary school air conditioning capital project. That again is on the ballot for May 17th, 2022. So the impact of these heat days on school learning is the driving principle behind this. This is not something that happened just this year. We knew about this in past years. Pre-COVID, we had some high heat days, certainly in the fall, certainly in the spring and during the summer, and that does have a detriment on instructional learning by our students. In addition to that, even the mitigation measures we would try by putting fans in classrooms, they did not relieve that, especially when you have high humidity. What would happen is that our buildings do not cool down at night due to how they're constructed, and this is something that we really needed to add to make our instructional programs as best as we can in those type of conditions. A couple other just major points. The New York State Education Department does not have anything for high heat days for days that you wouldn't be in session. And therefore, if you did have a day that you closed your buildings due to this, it could impact the 180-day minimum instructional period, and that could have a detrimental impact on New York State aid received by the district. This project was also looked at holistically. We just did not look at the air conditioning piece. We looked at improving the air filtration, and that's what would be done in this project. We would move up to a MERV 13 rating. We also were looking at many other aspects of it. The efficiency piece. These buildings were all built right around 1960 or thereabouts. And as a result, a lot of the motors and that are in some of these heating and ventilation systems would be replaced with new, more energy efficient motors. In addition to that, there's what we call univent cabinetry in there, that the ventilators in the classroom, they would go away. And that way we would hopefully be able to replace that with new cabinetry and modernize those classrooms as a result of this project. Most importantly, we have not forgotten about energy efficiency. We're working with NYSERDA and our architects and our mechanical engineers. We're going to be going through a review process with them, and we're going to try and incorporate anything that they provide to us in suggestions in this process. There's some other items that we're going to be included in this project as well. One being that is not associated with the elementary schools is going to be a need to replace the electrical system, at least the switch gear and the main switches at East High School. When we did a review initially of all buildings, we came up with the understanding that that equipment was beyond its useful life and that that was required replacement, and that is a capital project to do that. So looking at how this cost was put together, the one thing you'll note on here is that several schools have the same cost. And the reason for that is because some of these schools have the exact same floor plan. So as a result of that, you're seeing the same cost with them. So again, for the elementary side of this, the subtotal for that is $62,704,489. The electrical service replacement at East High School is $1,414,829, which results in a proposition of $64,119,318. So the funding is very important, and that's where I'm going to go over the major categories here. It really comes down to three components. The first being the debt or the bond funding piece. That represents $37,301,159. Capital reserves are monies that we established with the intent to save in the past for use in a project such as this. Those savings amount to about $25 million worth of funding. The importance of that is that funding means we don't have to borrow the money, which means that we're saving on the interest expense. So that really is saving the community a terrific amount of money when it comes down to this proposition. As well as using the $1,500,000 in two successive years to allow for us to have a total balanced revenue budget of $64,119,318. So all of this allows us to use our current debt service budget. And what that does is by using that and balancing the reserves and the budgetary appropriations, there's not going to be increase to the tax levy or the tax rate. So to go into that in more detail, how can that have a zero impact on the tax levy and tax rate? And the way that occurs is that Our debt service budget is annually in our general fund budget, the budget that the community is voting on also on May 17th. And so as we pay off the old debt, just as though you would pay off a car loan or your mortgage, you have extra funds available in your budget. And that is exactly what we have in our general fund budget. Those extra funds are what we're going to be allocating to pay for that $37 million debt borrowing. So as a result of that, there's no increase in the debt budget. And if there's no increase in the debt budget, that means it's not affecting the budget itself, it's not affecting the tax levy, and it's not going to affect the tax rate. So a visual of this, I think it's sometimes better to see this in a visual perspective, and you can see exactly how this is being done. You can see in the years here, and you can see that the general fund debt budget is $4,876,822. That is the amount that we have in our budget every year. And on the next column, you see what we're actually paying out with the current debt. As that debt is paid off, you're seeing that when you get to the 2026-27 year, that we have about $4.2 million available. And the projected estimate for that $37 million debt associated with this new project is $3.9 million. As a result, that's what I'm saying is it's covered by our budget. So with that, there's not going to be a tax budget or a tax levy or a tax rate impact to this project. So just the financial summary here, the project cost is $64,119,318. And again, as you just have seen in the prior slide, the debt service that we currently have in our budget supports this, so there's no tax increase. And the additional building aid is also something I haven't discussed that is very important, because over the course of a 15-year period, that's what New York State pays us in this, we'll receive about $38.2 million for this capital project upon approval. The important thing I want to also state is that if we did not do this project, we actually would see a reduction in our building aid. And how that impacts our annual budget is that just as we paid off all that old debt, you would see a reduction in the state aid that was attributed to that debt in the building aid piece of our normal state aid. So this is very important to maintain the building aid level that we have. And if we were not to do that, it would actually impact the amount of state aid we receive in future years, and that would negatively impact the general fund budget in those years. So.
Thank you very much, Mr. Matursky. And I know that we've reviewed this for several months now, and we've asked lots of questions over the past few months. I want to extend the opportunity one final time to the board. And Mr. Matursky, I'm sorry, I do have one thing I want to ask. I'm sorry that you're almost to your seat. So can you just let our community know what happens if our budget is not approved by the public?
If the budget were not to be approved, if you went on contingent budget, that's one option the board would have, or to do a revote. There's one revote allowed. Regardless, you would have to eliminate the tax levy increase completely if you had a budget defeat on the second revote. That would mean that $3,410,000 increase would go away. It would mean you're on a contingent budget. It would also mean that one of the requirements from New York State is that you cannot really purchase any equipment. But in addition to that, pretty much a $1.6 million reduction in equipment, the rest would likely come from instructional salaries. And that's where the reductions would come from. So it would definitely have a negative impact on our programs. And it's also something that is going to negatively impact the financial future of the district.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Matursky, for all your hard work.
Thank you.
Over the, not only this year, but the many years in the past. So we very much appreciate it. Oh, Mr. Biscaglia.
All right. I understand the contingent budget, but so our community does. So a contingent budget, though, as you go through and think of cuts, it's not educational teachers or staff first. You have to go look at certain state level things that you have to cut first by law, correct?
The equipment is the piece that state level required that you cannot purchase. So you would take out that 1.6 million. But after that, there's no requirement that you would not be. I mean, you can go through other areas of the budget. But, again.
Yeah, but what I guess I should have asked better. I'm sorry. It's my fault. So you have to cut things that are not mandated by the state. I should have said it that way. I apologize.
Yes, you are correct.
That's right.
Yes.
So by cutting things that are not mandated, I think you're alluding to cutting things that really make our district stand out, right? The things that we're able to provide, all of the extras, the supports, the activities.
That's what I was getting at.
The athletics, the music, all of it.
Clubs, sports, athletic, that's what I'm aiming for. So everyone understands.
Yeah, it's important. All right. Thank you so much.
Okay.
All right. And now we want to provide.
Could I just?
Oh, of course.
I just would like to do it. Not Mr. Matursky. Thank you very much.
I think I upset everyone. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So I just would like to do an acknowledgement though. For years, I personally have sat here and have asked about the communication, making sure that all of this incredible information that we have, the in-depth look of what a budget is, a capital project, all of these things, even school board candidates with upcoming elections and the budget vote. I would just like to acknowledge Mr. Nick Filipowski, our Director of Communications, who has, to me, been exhausting every avenue to get out this information. Every piece of social media, our district website, individual school websites. So I would just really ask our community to make sure, again, I'm going to go back to my knowledge is power, that we really take the time to read and understand what this budget entails, information about our candidates, so that everyone could make an educated vote coming and feeling confident. But Mr. Filipowski, thank you very much. It's been absolutely wonderful to have this information readily available.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And Superintendent Brownhall, if people from the community have questions between now and May 17th, how can they get their questions answered?
There is a website that they can actually, or an email address, I should say.
Okay.
They can actually submit their questions to. And
Yep. And that's on our district website.
it's on our district website.
And could they also call and talk to someone in the
absolutely.
office if they wanted to do that?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. All right. So
we're available also the day of May 17th. So if you have questions, when you arrive at North, you'll be able to ask the questions. We'll make sure we get answers for you so you can make an informed decision, because we don't want anyone to operate on fragile knowledge.
thank you so much. All right, we will now hold a public hearing on the proposed budget. If there's anyone in attendance that would like to ask a question or make a comment regarding the budget, please step up to the podium and we please ask you to state your name for the record.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ron Shubert. For those of you who don't know, first of all, I can totally support the budget. I've worn many hats over the years. I'm actually a 1970 graduate of Williamsville South. You can probably now figure out my age. I'm also a parent. I was an 18-year member of the school board. I think I was elected in the year 2000. And we've gone through, over time, we've gone through some very difficult years in terms of the budget. I think almost every single year was difficult. When I was first president, Dick Hitchcock was our assistant administrator, assistant superintendent for finance. He got us through, and then after that was Tom Matursky. And I have to commend Tom for all the work that he has done over the years. It seems every year we seem to have a crisis. Every year we get through it. Every year we continue programs. It's very, very hard to do much more than that. And I know we've always tried to find money for counselors, which I've always been an advocate for. I think we need to do more in terms of mental health counselors. But I just wanted to recognize everything that Tom has done. He's an incredible resource, and not just Tom and your staff. I know you don't do it by yourself, but we're very fortunate here in Williamsville, And as I mentioned, I've worn different hats. My daughter now she graduated probably 10 years ago. She's now living in Rochester. So, now I suppose you can say I'm moving into a different stage of my life, but I still think it's important that we support the district and everything that's done here to make us the number one district that I've always believed we are, and we are. I wanted to also say something about the proposition. We call it the air conditioning proposition, which is fine, but I can remember in 1967, 68 at South, how warm it was there. But I think this is more than air conditioning. We have to remember too that it's ventilation, and ventilation is extremely important right now. I think we talked about it a couple years ago. We talked about masks and everything else, but the ventilation is a very, very important piece of this, and I'm very happy to see that we are addressing the ventilation. And of course, as always, there's no increase in the tax levy, and there's no increase in the tax rate. So I think that's also very important. So I wanted to again commend Tom and staff, but also the board for the job that you've been doing over the past year, and also the job you're doing in terms of supporting this budget. That's all I've got to say.
Thank you, Mr. Shubert. All right, I don't see anybody else in attendance that I believe is here to speak on the budget. All right. So at this time, I want to share that as I did before, the annual district vote is May 17th at North High School in the gymnasium from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. And our next regular board meeting is May 24th. At this time, may I have a motion to adjourn into executive session to discuss collective negotiations and pending litigation? Thank you, Ms. Poulin and Mrs. Beeger. Thank you. Any discussion on that? Seeing none, all in favor, please. Opposed, abstentions, motion carries unanimously.